Day Kentucky Cooking segment brought to you by Creative Kitchen and Bath, where you will always cook in style.
Welcome back to Midday Kentucky. Chef Allison Davis here in the Wild Time Kitchen, and we've been talking about a lot of heart-healthy recipes that are really just a fresh, easy to prepare, and this is no exception. This is all about the fresh herbs, and this is a easy dip that you can make without the cheese, okay? So this still has some dairy in it because we're going to be going with a full-fat, plain Greek yogurt. Notice I look for organic and I look for the whole milk because I like to focus in on some good fats, and this is definitely that. When you're finding a grass-fed product, dairy, this is going to be tasty, it's going to be creamy, and it's going to be delicious. So this is going to go in place of our cheese. All right, so we're going to start with our dip, and this is very simple because everything is going in the food processor together. So I'm going to take a little bit of green onions here and throw that in, and then we're going to add in, I think the recipe originally called for watercress, and that's not something that is always easy to find, so I'm going in with some arugula. You could also use, I guess, spinach as well if you wanted to, but I like arugula greens a lot because they are nice and peppery and just give it a little bit more flavor. All right, we're going to go with a little bit of fresh parsley here. And again, just cutting it off the stems. We could break it apart if we wanted to, but it's just going to go right into the food processor, and we're going to let the food processor do all the work for us. All right, again, all about the fresh herbs. So in this, I'm using the combination of parsley and basil, and the basil is just going to work in there as well. And then we have a little bit of white wine vinegar. If you didn't have the white wine vinegar, you could certainly sub in red wine vinegar or even just lemon or lime juice. All right, one of the key ingredients in this, and don't be shocked or don't be appalled, I guess, if you're not a fan of anchovies, because this is pretty important. This is anchovy paste. This is what's used when you make a homemade Caesar dressing. This is really going to add the salty, the creamy, the just delicious kind of almost umami effect that happens in this dip. So I think you would certainly miss it if it's not in there. So a little bit of that anchovy paste goes a long way. You can always add two, you can't take away. So just keep that in mind as you're working. All right, and then we're just going to add kind of the creamy components. I've got a little bit of just canola, or you could even go with like a vegan mayonnaise if you were trying to make this egg-free, and then a little bit of the Greek yogurt, okay? And then that's just about it. We might season this with a little salt and pepper. If you're like me and you like a little bit of that kick, I always would add like a little touch of cayenne or red pepper flake. And then we're going to pulse this together to just make a nice kind of creamy dip for about, say, 8 to 10 times. So we'll let that sit for a little bit, and then I would have this dip a couple of different ways, and I just wanted to show you how versatile it is. So I'm making kind of a little vegetarian board here to use our dip for like vegetables. So in place of like hummus, we can go with this dip and just kind of add just the colors of the rainbow. And from a health standpoint, we always talk about eating the rainbow, and the more colors that you get in your diet, the more nutrient rich and nutrient dense that's going to be. All right, another great application for this dip would be once you maybe roast off chicken. Say if you're doing meal prep for the week and you've got some chicken breast, you want to reheat, you want to pop it in the oven, you could throw this dip on it, put it in the oven, and just give it a nice creamy kind of topping, and also it would help it from being so dry, especially when you're dealing with a boneless, skinless chicken breast. All right, I'm going to pulse this a few more times, and then we're going to plate this up and have a little veggie board to go with our chicken. You're watching Midday Kentucky. Of course, you know where to find this recipe. This is going to be at middaykentucky.com/recipes tab, and we will be right back after this short break.